Coming up next, the two key members of the rock and roll chapter of one of the world's greatest classic bands. They both tell us the story behind a song that came from a trying time in our nation, in our history. They wrote it as a call to action, kind of as an afterthought, and it would become one of the staples of 70s rock radio. We still sing it today. Coming up next on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you've owned so many records, cassettes, and or CDs that you can open a new one in like 2.5 seconds because you're so used to open them, you're going to love this channel. Make sure to subscribe below, click the bell so you don't miss out on our content that comes out daily. I always struggled to open cassettes though. I tried to do it with my teeth when I was a little kid. I never really got the swing of it. Anyway, we really appreciate your support. The way we're able to keep this as a daily channel is through your support on both Patreon and our merch. We'd love for you to take a look below. Our new merch is really pretty great, especially our Vintage Years collection, which I'm wearing the 1987. It comes from Rat Fink artist Thomas Estrada. You can find links to all those shirts below. So much was changing in music as the 60s switched over to the 70s. Vietnam was raging, young men were being drafted and were being shipped off.
Well, I've got 7 months in country now, 3 Purple Hearts. I don't need a 4th.
Unsure of what the future would hold. It was a time of great anxiety and trial in our country. It really came to a boil when the tragedy transpired at Kent State in early May of '70. It was an exasperating time, and that's when a band named the Doobie Brothers formed in San Jose, California. I mean, the band would have a massive run throughout the rock and roll era up to now. They were just inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 2020. Should have been a first ballot, in my opinion.
It's been a long time coming, but we are so grateful and excited.
I wish to thank, first of all, the guys who I accept this award with tonight.
First of all, I want to thank the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for our induction.
Now, the band had 2 iterations, the rock and the soul, if you will. From 1970 to 1975, it featured lead vocalist Tom Johnston, along with the great Pat Simmons, leading their classic straight-ahead rock sound that included a mix of folk and R&B and country, with hits galore that would dominate radio from their release to now. Songs like Today's Focus, Listen to the Music. There's also China Grove. Long Train Running. So many more. And then Michael McDonald, Mick D. He joined the band in 1975 as a keyboard player and second lead vocalist. Give some relief to Tom Johnston, who had some pretty serious health challenges at that time. This brought a pop soul element to the band, including Taking It to the Streets. Great #1 smash, the yacht rock classic What a Fool Believes. They broke up for a time to the chagrin of Michael Douglas.
Man, the Doobie Brothers broke up. Shit. When did that happen?
And then they came back together with Johnston and Simmons. They charted a song at the end of the 80s with The Doctor. Now, the Doobies' first album was self-titled. That came out in the spring of 1971 through Warner Brothers. It was produced by Lenny Waronker and Ted Templeman, who, of course, become a mainstay with the band. The first single, called Nobody, that failed to chart, as did the album. Nobody was re-released, and it did a little better, charting at number 58 on the Billboard Hot 100, but it was the second album that would have the real impact. Toe Loose. Street was released on July 1st, 1972, being their first album with new bassist Tyrone Porter, who became permanent. It was also included second drummer Michael Hossack to support existing drummer John Hartman, starting that trademark twin drummer sound. Toulouse Street is the name of the street in the French Quarter of New Orleans. The cover and the inside centerfold photos were taken at an actual former brothel on that street. The album would have an immediate impact. The first big hit, Listen to the Music, it dropped at just the right time. really resonated with the masses, with the challenges that the nation was facing at that moment. Up next, both Tom Johnston and Patrick Simmons tell the story of forming their band, the Doobies, and the story behind writing and recording Listen to the Music, and the impact that it had upon them as they started to dominate rock radio. Now, as we go into this interview, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear. They helped to make this possible. Zenni is the online optical industry leader. They provide the most affordable eyeglasses to people all over the world, the highest quality optical lenses, prescription and non-prescription. Zenni have such a variety, cooler colors, design options, that anything you can imagine. Check it out today at zenni.com. Here's the Doobies. Listen to the music. The thing about the Doobie Brothers that's missing from music today is that you guys wrote what I call rock standards. There's the standards like Cole Porter wrote a standard, George Gershwin, those songs that will stand the test of time. Tell me how that came together with guitar and vocal and lyrics and all that.
At that period of time, we hadn't hit yet, and I was still living on 12th Street in San Jose in the student ghetto, and it was kind of the music center for San Jose. All the guys that played would come to that house into the basement, which was, having gone back and looked at it now, I don't know how we did it. It shrunk. But all these people, we had horn sections in there, we had chick singers in there, we had all these guys playing guitar, B3, whatever, at one time or another, not necessarily always at once because you wouldn't be able to fit all those people in there. But I spent a lot of time in my bedroom in that house, just playing acoustic and just noodling around, and whatever came up, came up. That's when that song came up. By that time, we had done our first album, which really didn't do anything. And when I wrote it, I was just fooling around with a chord structure. I didn't really have anything in mind, and it's part of that same rhythm structure we've been talking about, doing like that. The chord changes kind of wrote themselves. The best songs write themselves. And I always feel that I'm channeling somebody. I don't know who. But if you've got to labor over a song, it's another ballgame. But if it just flows, this was one of those that did that.
Well, I love how it flows into the bridge.
And then the lyrics, the whole idea behind that, well, we were in the middle of the Vietnam War, and if all the world leaders got away from posturing and talking in negative terms and got together with music playing and let that be the language rather than the gobbledygook that was going on and still going on, that somehow that's the most common language on this planet, to me, music. And then that's pretty much what it was about, a real utopian idea, naive as hell. I'll be the first one, and it never would have worked. But that's kind of where that was going.
Well, that resonates more now than ever. We need that more than ever with the divisiveness we have going on now.
It'd be nice. I still don't think it's going to happen, but it's nice. That's how that all started.
Do you guys remember the first time you heard your song on the radio?
We had a regular gig at this place in North Beach.
On Kearney that we played.
Keystone.
Yeah.
Keystone Corners. It was in San Francisco. And we had played there the night before. I think it was a gig with John Lee Hooker. John Lee played, and we opened for him. And we did a lot of gigs with those guys at that club. And it really a wonderful moment for us to be in with this legend. At that time, he was, in my mind, kind of a legend already, but later on, he became even more iconic. So we had played, and I spent the night there in San Francisco at our manager's house. He was living in a house in the Mission District with the roadies for Santana, Herbie Herbert, Johnny and Jackie Villanueva, and they were all living in this house out there. And I spent the night there, And I was upstairs, just getting out of bed, the room upstairs, and I hear Bruce, Pat, you got to come down here. You got to come down here right now. And I came down and listened to the music was on the radio.
Jesus, that's us. We're on the radio. I don't believe it.
We did it.
It was a jam. And we essentially started playing that in 71. And every night there were no lyrics. So I would just make words up as we were doing it. They'd have the Without Love part perhaps. And, occasionally maybe I drifted off into some Train stuff, but I couldn't tell you that I did. I don't remember. But Teddy said, man, you really got to write some words for this. This could be a single. I said, I don't know, man. It's just a jam. But he was right. I mean, I've only been right about one song ever. So I listened, he would know better than I would. And it was all based around that. My butterfly. Etc. And so he said, so at the very last minute, we cut the track, and I wrote the words right at the last minute, which in those days wasn't uncommon. Go into a room and 20, 25 minutes later come out with the lyrics, because I wrote better under pressure than I did if I just sat around at my leisure. Or, in the case of listening to music where it just kind of wrote itself. That's how that came about. And then he said, write something about a train. I said, okay. And I could see where he went there. I mean, you listen to how the song goes, and it kind of lends itself chord-wise and rhythm structure-wise to that kind of feel.
It used to be just the first verse over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And
then you play leads for an hour.
And then I think at some point, Ted helped us to kind of break it down to do, okay, the first verse will be straight ahead. Then we'll break it down and do this little blues interlude. And then I don't know who talked you into doing the harmonica solo. Was that Ted? Did he bring that up, or did you come up with that?
Well, I don't know about actually doing it on the record. I had played harmonica on the first album on Chicago. At that period of time, I was playing harmonica all the time, or harp as we called it, because I was a huge Butterfield fan. Absolutely loved Paul Butterfield and James Cotton and all the other cats that played harp out of Chicago. So I was playing all the time, just for fun, and probably did it live a little bit, but I don't remember it. Ended up doing the solo on Long Train Running with a harp.
Amazing solo.
Made more amazing by Don Landy. Da-da-da-da-da. I didn't play that.
As far as Long Train Running and also listen to the music, these great harmonies, where did the harmonies kind of come about? Did you guys...
This band, as I said, one of the groups we all had in common was Moby Grape. And for whatever reason, we all loved them. Mm-hmm. And, they were, 2 albums? And really, the first one was the one that they're known for. But they were all about driving rock and roll, but they also did finger-picking stuff, and they also had these great harmonies. So, bingo. Also, Crosby, Stills, and Nash had just come out, and they were huge with their harmony thing and all that. So when we got together and started writing, we kind of wrote as a band, really. I mean, a guy would bring in an idea for a song, and then we'd all flesh it out. And we just always added harmonies. We didn't think about it. It just happened. It happened. Said, well, this is what we got to do, so we're going to put the harmonies in here. And the solo will go here, and the rhythm structure was kind of formulaic in a way, but at that time, none of it was planned. It just happened organically. I hate to use that word. And then Pat would have finger picking to put over the top of it, or, depending on the song, he'd be playing rhythm as well. That was one of the things that made the band sound, was the fact that you have this kind of an R&B rhythm style with like a bluegrass picking thing over the top of it. And then you've got harmonies, and whoever happened to be singing lead on whatever song.
Well, have you guys ever heard, there's a version of that song Bananarama did. They're a British group, and Gypsy Kings play the flamenco guitar on it. It's pretty interesting.
Wow.
And also, it was re-released in 93 and went to top 10 in the UK. It was used in Harry and Tonto.
My cat, please. I remember hearing about it.
Yeah.
I see it. Seeing people out there of several demographics, not only enjoying the music, know the words to the songs, singing with you, and they could be in their 20s, they could be in their 30s, 40s, 50s, doesn't matter. The songs lasted and are still lasting that long, it's kind of a testament, even though we didn't know it starting out. Because people ask a lot, did you foresee yourself doing that? Hell no, I didn't see myself doing it. I couldn't even think past tomorrow, man. Let's just work on right here, right now. But the fact that it's lasted this long.
Yeah, I was playing your song last night, and my son Andrew, who's 14, says, oh, I love this song. I love this song. He knew all the songs. He knew Long Train Run. He knew China Girl. Oh, I love this song. And so that just shows that it just keeps going down a generation. I think it's the one thing that they don't really talk about on TV and show. They show the father and son playing catch, but they don't really show the father handing the music down to the son, and it goes down generations, and that's a great thing. And make sure to leave us a comment about the Doobie Brothers and this fantastic classic song. It's such a feel-good ditty. What are your memories of this song and this outstanding group in that time in music? What is your favorite time period of this band's history? I want to know all these things in the comments. We'll talk about it, or we'll discuss it. People get mad at me when I say discuss it. We'll write about it. Make sure to subscribe below so that you can become a permanent part of our community. We'd love to have you. Make sure to check us out on Patreon and our merch below, including the Vintage Years collection. Help us keep the music alive. It's always the goal. Till next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.